Welcome to Beachside Tech Talk. Looking forward to this week. Today I have Dan, my dad Gary, we got Nigel, Malachi, and Riza will pop in at some point. I want to start off our Monday with a Suno song. Last week we spent some time kind of talking about how we create music. And if you're with us Friday, we went like in a very, very deep dive exactly how we do it. Here's a song I did not share, and it was just one where I told Gemini, which is Google's alternative to what Grok has created from formerly Twitter and what OpenAI created with ChatGPT. Gemini's another one. And I said, hey, take our company Attention Live and just make a song about the benefits. And this is what it came up with. I think it'll be intriguing for those that haven't seen any of this, and it's a nice way for us to start things off before we all jump on stage together.
A whisper lost in a crowded space, a single thought without a trace. They built the walls you couldn't climb, lost your own voice and borrowed time. You gave your gold for a stage of sand, while nameless kings controlled the land. But a deeper truth, a current starts to claim the beat of a million hearts. Go live and let the echo ring, a single spark, the song you bring. Your voice, your world, a universe, from silent thought to treasured verse. This is the moment, true and vast. Your future freed from shadows past, authenticated, amplified, with nothing left to run or hide. But nothing left to run or hide. The lecture hall, the midnight prayer, the comics wit, a whispered dare. Not just for chords or battle cries, but wisdom shared that never dies. They said a thought just fades away, but now it's etched in light of day. An asset born from breath and soul to make you sing and make you whole. From Manila's sun to a city's home, a new creation has become more than a stream, more than a sound. It's solid ground, it's hallowed ground, a bridge between what is and seems, the currency of waking dreams. Go live and let your echo ring, your voice, your world, the song you bring. This is the moment, true and vast. Your future freed from shadows past, authenticated, amplified, with nothing left inside.
All right, everybody. Well, there it is. That was a song that Suno created in collaboration with Gemini and Fireflies and other different tools. So thought it'd be a nice way to open us up. Dad, welcome back to the party.
Thank you. Step in and see what we can do.
Well, here we are.
Happy Monday to everyone.
Happy Monday to everyone.
We'll just start right there and see how that takes us off.
Yes.
Hi, Papa. I'm glad you're joining us.
Yeah, thank you, Mally. Malachi and I had a great day of surfing
Friday.
We've been making it a thing. Surfing every Friday.
That is crazy.
It is.
Nice.
Tell us about it. Tell us about surfing with Malachi.
Well, he's picking it up. We're both on stand-up paddle boards, and he's progressing really steadily and fast, and he's pretty much on his own. I give him pointers here and there, but otherwise he's just charging. So
How about for you, son? How's it been surfing
surfing
with
is
Papa?
such a cool thing to get to do. I wonder if back in the day when people saw the ocean, they thought, I wonder if I can do something with that barrel. Like, that looks cool. What if I grabbed a piece of wood? Like, I wonder when it was that people first decided, I'm going to get on a piece of wood
About
and
150 years ago, I think.
try and float in the water with that wave.
Although-
The Hawaiians are the inventors of surf. The Polynesians.
Yeah, boats. I mean, boats were the first kind of, they caught waves on their boats. So
somehow the necessity of not drowning seems to like it might had a little to do with that.
Yeah. Nigel, how are you? You're always so joyful.
Man, life's good. Life's good. I mean, we're here. We're together. We're demonstrating that cross generations, cross the country, that we could still get together and cooperatively have amazing conversations about the state of the world and technology and what we have and what we're doing with it. So awesome.
How about how fast it's moving? That seems to be like a big to-do talk.
Yeah.
Eventually, at the end of almost every conversation, is just how fast things are actually moving now, and how we are just trying to keep up with it. You get comfortable with something that's technical, and it seems like almost you're outdated, and it could be like a month's time. Which
Right.
something that we've used to be using for years. A tool, a saw still works good after a couple 100 years, and so does a hammer.
right.
But do you think it's really that it's moving that fast, or obsolescence is being more planned? Because you think about, we think of AI as the past 2.5 years with ChatGPT coming to the forefront, but think about how long AI has been in process. Like, if we look back at history, it's been a while. Like, I don't think anything takes a shorter period. I think the compound interest of time, and when you see the result, it feels that way.
And now it's just when it's realized.
Right. But I do, to your point, Danny, I do think planned obsolescence is becoming a thing, because there's no money in cure. There's money in maintenance, and profit continues to be a driving factor, which is why I think, in these conversations and in technology itself, we need to build in checks and balances that actually measure the net benefit of some of these things, and put in the forefront, be it on the blockchain or someplace else, the transparency of what it is. Is this really helping? Because think about the light bulb. I heard the story about the light bulb, and when they actually reduced the number of hours that a light bulb would last to sell more light bulbs.
Purpose.
Yeah.
But then we also went the other way, because again, as technology kicked in, and which would be like our generation or people living today, a magnificent development was made by the LED. So LED, and everybody kind of is known as they've replaced their light bulbs with LED replacement or bulbs. They last 10,000 times, 10,000 hours, as opposed to hundreds of hours. So that's one way we've actually increased and got something to benefit us and be cheaper, and we've got more use out of it.
Well, today I wanted to talk about the benefits and challenges of innovation. And so, Dad, since you're here, maybe we could just start off with your perspective on the benefits and the challenges of innovation with tools. When you started as a carpenter, you only swing a hammer. Eventually came the nail gun. When you started off, the automation innovation tools to build homes were pretty minimal, pretty manual oriented, and now things have gotten so advanced that they're 3D printing houses and things of that nature. So I thought maybe you could just jump in first and share some of your thoughts around what you have personally experienced in your life and career around some of the things that have been really beneficial for innovation and around tools. Because all the stuff we're using, our phone is a tool, the microphones are a tool, the computer is a tool, the StreamYard to live stream, the social media, all tools brought to us through innovative companies. And
tools brought to you from innovative companies.
That's right. There's the commercial. So, Dad, why don't you kick us off? What are your thoughts on benefits and challenges for innovation when it comes to the tools that we're used to, hence the hammer, and the things that we now are invited to use? Example, the nail gun.
Okay. Well, when I started the trade, it was all hand banging. We used to slam nails with one lick as a professional framer in the union. And I would have lost my career from doing that if it wasn't for nail guns coming in and having that step in and help me. And then from there, I bought a forklift, and that helped my back. So it just kind of progressed my my workload and everything, just from changing and going with the different things that were made available. Now that what they're doing is, they're doing a lot of in-house framing where they come out with a pile of walls and put them together, and doing a lot of crazy stuff like that. Though I have to say, my best days of carpentry and experiences was when I was framing with the bag of nails and just pounding nails. It was, adventurous and creative, and
you were at your healthiest too.
Yeah,
Your youngest.
Right. I was a young man,
most
too.
vital.
And so it was fun, and we made a lot of money doing it. So
technology's also come a long way through construction, in the fact of the computer is actually being implemented into the field. Guys that are in there now actually are wearing vests that have on the back is a huge pocket with a elasto band kind of in the middle of their back, and you would wonder it's the whole back, and you would wonder what it can't put the hammer back there, really. You know what that's been made for is the iPad, and the iPads are on the job now, and the internet is on the job. So part of construction that's maybe beyond what Gary and I did, we were more of an independent, a small crew. But as soon as someone is doing maybe even 10 guys and doing 2 houses at one time, they're going to need to have contact. And what the internet and the iPads have been able to do, not just with blueprinting and stuff like that, and being able to take the pages and putting it into the computer, but it's been able to create the communication between, management or jobs, between 2 jobs or suppliers and things like that, to completely wipe out that downtime that was done either analog or, by continues to writing on paper, or having one person having to remember things that were going along through the day. So technology has moved. The computer has gotten onto the job site, and even small job sites, even guys like myself. I didn't have an iPad, but I did start towards the end using the computer and, just looking up a lot of information for materials, so I can sound educated to the customer. And then also it helped with invoicing and contracts.
Also, just using a new tool. You have your phone, you can get on the internet, watch a video on how to put things together. Been really helpful.
Instead of everybody remembers putting a bicycle together or something, and back in the day, it came with a book or a piece of furniture, the coffee table or something that you got from the IKEA. You're looking at this 12 pages, front and back print and small print, and it just wasn't there. And now the things that they have to be able to build with, or even the spec. So the spec document is very helpful. You can expand it, blow it up for people like, can't start getting older, you can't see as much, but much more helpful. The technology has moved into working with the hammer and nails.
How about for you, Nigel? What are your thoughts on benefits and challenges when it came to innovation that came across your career?
I see it, and I see this across all verticals actually, especially now. There's potential opportunity and there's realized opportunity, and I feel like sometimes the two get conflated. You can be capable, you can have the opportunity to do something, be it in technology or home building or whatever the case may be. The opportunity can be there, but the realization of that opportunity still comes from the human impact of it. And I feel like all technology has done is really leveled up what we consider valuable. Because, like, I'll give you an example. I had a friend, she was like, oh, I took my car in and, they wanted to charge me $70 to change the cabin filter. And I was like, that seems weird. I'm going to go look this up. So I looked it up. The part cost $3. And I kid you not, on YouTube, it took me 30 seconds. And I'm not a mechanic. 30 seconds to do this thing. $70. And I was like, well, that's ridiculous. Now people would argue, well, I have a dealership and I got overhead. And my response to that is like, what does that have to do with me? Like there's you knew something that other people didn't know. But once they know, it's not going to be the same value. I'm not paying you $70 for something that I could probably walk my grandmother through in 10 minutes.
Well, that's how a lot of business is done. I mean, you think you create something, or maybe an easier way to do something. That's more up to today's thing, to save some time, and the knowledge that you've stumbled upon or project built, whatever the case may be. That's the use. You've been able to save someone's time, and like you were saying, once that thing became found out, that open source or you had access to it, all of a sudden that $70 item.
But was it ever truly a skill? Like that's my point. Like, okay, so when I think about, you're building houses, like when you think about if you're having a house built, you want somebody who knows what they're doing. You want somebody that you can trust, that your house is not going to fall down. It's going to be, like you taught me, plumb level square. It's not going to be, wonky. You're not going to have the Leaning Tower of Pisa, but you don't know these things. That's a skill. You got a problem, something's leaking and people can't again, a skill. It's not 30 seconds on a YouTube video that I can walk my grandmother through. Not a skill. And I feel like technology is it's pushing the level of conversations up, even the conversations we have now. If we're talking about a topic and we go and we research that topic, and we all have the capability, whether we use Gemini, Perplexity, Chat GPT, take your pick, Grok, whatever, Claude.
There you go.
But you're going to get way more information than we ever had. And you're going to get it explained to you like you're a third grader, so that you understand it in the way you understand. So now when we come to conversations, we're at a far greater level. And I've always known this. Technology is the type of thing that knowledge hoarding, what you hoard today is useless tomorrow, because it's changing so fast.
That was exactly the point I was making at the very beginning, that you would use for a year or today is literally, I'm not exaggerating, it's 30 days. It could be antiquated in the matter of a month, and more specific to like applications that we open up and use, because that's the thing. Creators are still going to have to create. The apps that we used a year ago are kind of obsolete, or maybe even 2 years ago. You got probably 50 on your phone, and do you use more than 10, honestly?
How about for school? What have you seen in innovation as a student that has been beneficial and challenging for you?
Well, I think that if you look at any example, I mean, take Papa's example he was saying earlier. Sometimes innovation is wanted. Like, now you have a nail gun. Yay, we can use it. But he still kind of enjoyed that old style of just, you got a bag of nails and you got a hammer and an arm. And that's something that I realize people still want the old thing. It's a part of nostalgia. It's why people still like looking at a photo that's grainy. There's a sense of nostalgia that you get from seeing something or doing something that there's a quote unquote better way of doing it now. And I think in schools, it's something that is going to be kind of run over. The nostalgia process isn't as important because it's young people who don't really care about the old way of doing things, and most of them want to learn. But a lot of these decisions are made by the bigger guys at the top. And so you still don't have a lot of these things happening really quickly. I mean, I've definitely realized the major use of AI inside of schools. There's plenty of things you've already talked about with how it's just happens so quickly. But I think there's plenty of other things that could happen and could have happened already even quicker. Like having it so that your whole credits and everything you've done is just simply on like an NFT that's you.
Mhm.
An idea that Nigel was talking about. Like that is just a good idea. But it's not going to happen yet because people don't feel a necessity and the innovation isn't something that is as deeply cared about as it could be. And so when you take these few examples, it shows how sometimes, even though innovation is amazing, even though AI is here and it's awesome, even though blockchain fully works and you could make it so that every student can have an NFT of all things they've done, it doesn't mean it's always going to happen yet for the everyday consumer because people still kind of like the nostalgic feeling. And it's also hard when you don't have a full necessity to make something happen.
How about for you as a teacher? You've been teaching business English for over 20 years, 35 continents, mostly CEOs. Obviously, all these, I mean,
35
Skype,
continents?
yeah, Skype was a tool that was
It
radically
was not a
impactful.
Skype before that I used.
It was,
The first ever tool that I used in teaching online was the internet phone.
right, the VoIP.
Yes, not that. The internet phone, like it's only I can we can use the phone to call overseas if our phone is connected to the internet.
I
So
see.
it means I when I started teaching online, I started when I started teaching students from another country, I started teaching them over the phone. So the student couldn't see me, but my students are from different countries. So
Hmm.
that's how I started. Then the Yahoo Messenger, so where we can do the video call, and then the Skype, and then that's where the start of different VoIPs, Cisco, the WebEx Cisco. So I also use that, and different. The Zoom, there is a Zoom which is actually start from X,
Yeah, I
not
remember that.
Z.
Yeah,
So
XO.
it's for
Hmm.
calling, and a lot more. So I started different, and the innovation, it's really very different, because before, when we started from Web 1, students can only go to your website, check your website. I remember I started a website where they can see my information so that they can book a class with me, but they can only book that using email. And then Web 2, here it comes, where they can not only read, but they can also write. And there goes different kinds of tools
Mm.
that I also used. And then Web 3. So the innovation is really very different. Web 3 is more on AI, although Web 2, I already experienced AI many times. I started using AI during the time of Skype. So Skype already had AI before.
What would you say is the biggest advantage and biggest challenge that you faced as a teacher over all these innovations when new innovations came? What was like the thing that was best? What was the thing that was worst?
It's based on my experience in the Philippines, it's the internet quality. So
Hmm.
that is the biggest
Challenge you had.
challenge that I experienced, is the internet quality. I remember when I was teaching during the Web 2, there was no Wi-Fi yet.
Hmm.
So my student, a Korean, told me, what do you think if I can study English with you while I'm in the subway, or while I'm on the bus, or while I'm at the coffee shop? I said, maybe we can do that. In fact, I created an article, a book related to that. That what if we can have internet everywhere you are? I also created an article where we can have a video call using our phone, which I didn't expect that it will actually happen. Unfortunately, those articles were stolen from me by the online school where I was teaching before.
Theft, obviously a big thing with
Yeah.
access. So let me switch our conversation on this topic
Hold on.
to. Go ahead.
So I want to just say a comment. You know, a lot of innovation really to push, you know, money, to make money, to be more profitable. There's always like new gimmicks coming up. So that has a lot to do with innovation too, and improve. It's not only just to improve and make things go faster and get things done quicker, but it's you know, fills the pocket with money, you know, and that's what businesses are all about too. The new gimmick that is out, and it's attractive. It's just like you know, the new iPad, the new phone, the new this, the new that. So we just got to be careful too on really what works for you and what you enjoy doing. Like I said, the innovation for me in construction helped me because I was hand banging nails was hurting my elbow and I was getting tendonitis there. So that was an improvement, but I didn't have to jump on the bandwagon and get every new nail gun, you know, either. Just a thought.
I want to stick with. Go ahead.
Most of the like newer things that come out, like an iPhone, you don't need the new one.
No.
If anything, it might even be more difficult because now you have to spend all the time getting all your old stuff over to the new iPhone and configuring everything. And most of the time, if you're just a daily person, unless you're like a professional filmmaker, you don't really need the new iPhone. And I think there's a lot of things that can take that same example where it's such a effort pushed to tell you this is why you need the new thing. You need it because of this, because of this, because of this. But then it's like, your old product was pretty good. I'm cool with that. It's interesting the way that things like that can commonly happen.
I think, you know, one of the things that came to mind with our conversation and how it transcends generations here is how you see example trump emotion. So I think marketing tends to be emotional. You get excited about something that's new and that it's latest and the greatest and bells and whistles, shiny new object, et cetera, et cetera. But one of the things that I find with when there's connectivity between the generations is that the example of the elders, be it the quality of a thing, like you take a piece of furniture, you know, like that's been passed down, that you can sand it, you can buff it, you can refinish it, you can paint it over and over and over again. It's still great. It's going to beat IKEA and all this other cheap furniture every day of the week. That demonstration, to me, it's going to transcend all the hype. And as long as we keep the continuity between the generations and become that example over the emotion, I feel like we have a good chance of just continuing a legacy of not getting caught up in the idea of this hype. Because at the end of the day, technology is great. It's not going to beat a human in that way. Like you think about AI, it's only what we've put into it. Sure, it has more of us and more details about more humans, but you take any, like we were looking at an HVAC system, right? And I did all this research and I nth degree, everything that they're doing possible, still didn't help as much as when the professional came in and gave me the skinny, the inside. You're not going to beat it because he said things that I just wouldn't even think of.
Right.
Aren't we?
I don't know. So he said, you know, you see all these people and they're giving you these great deals on these air conditioning units, this one, that one. He's like, but here's what they don't tell you. All the main components in every single one of those, as much as they're like, this one's better, we got a great deal, they're the same.
Right.
They're the same. So no matter what brand name you put on it, the compressor, it's the same. And the ones that are winning are the ones that have some kind of patent. That's why they're winning. It can't be duplicated.
There is the one company. Train has their patented technology that they've been able to keep in lock for them to where they're I think that where they'll prove that their part of their cooling system still runs for like 20 years or something, so they still have a lock on their patent for. But everybody else, like you're saying, yeah, they're rude, and there's many brands. Bosch is actually a big brand that's making air conditioners now. Carrier is another company, and all these guys, like Nigel was saying, when you open the plastic shield up around the thing, you're still going to see the same components from Thailand, China, or Germany, maybe if it's something high end. So what is the point of it? But there is the one. You did learn about the train systems, right?
I think I don't know if it was Train or Carrier. It's one of them. They have a patented coil system, and they were showing that like 20 years, it still looks better than some of the newer ones after 5 years. And the other big thing was that you might get a system that's like, oh, I'll get you a system in for $7,500, but I think it was Train. You get this system for $10,000, but it comes with a 10-year warranty,
right?
Versus the 1 year.
Right.
So it's almost like they already know, yeah, you're going to pay $2,500 more, and that sounds like if you're only on price. It's not apples to apples. And this is where I feel AI has the opportunity, whether or not you realize that opportunity, to give consumers the greatest insight that they can have, because like the guy said, he's like, we're too poor to be buying crap. That was what it is. We can't afford it. You can't afford to buy garbage because it's going to break. It's going to become obsolete. So you get the 1 year and you feel like you saved the $2,500. Right. In a year or two, that $2,500 is evaporated.
You got to get the new one in 5 when you could have went with the Train for another $2,500 and got the double down on the 10-year with the warrant. Yeah.
It's what you don't know. So like, better, you do better. And this gives us the opportunity to know better. But again, I think that getting the professionals are the professionals. And AI is never going to be professional because it's never going to know more than the people who are in there installing. AI doesn't install anything.
Well, I know Gary's using AI with his Bible studies now. You use it in the morning to help
not to do the Bible study, but just to give me some more information.
Right.
Which is
just
really
to our point.
Quick.
Lots of more information, more data you didn't realize. Our brain does not function the way a computer program does. It just doesn't have that quickness that every time to go right to that compartment and just pull up that file. We don't have that. Every day could be different. You remember it today, and then tomorrow something could happen and excite you enough to where try to pull up that memory again, and it's just not gonna happen at that moment.
Yeah. Because you think about like a sermon, like, you think about something in real life that you've experienced over your years that is helpful in marriage or relationships, and it's a specific thing. But now you want to recall everything in the Bible that lends itself to that particular thing, so you can draw more resources, so you can and you can deepen the conversation. But AI never came up with that idea. It was a human idea that you use AI to further develop or resource or support. Right. So it's like I think AI shouldn't be made, or technology shouldn't be made more than what it is. It shouldn't be made less either. But at the end of the day, the professionals are the professionals. I don't think you're going to get around that. And I think we're going to learn some valuable lessons on the way, because mark my words, I'm calling this now. Folks are going to take this AI and they're going to use it blind, and they're going to attach automation to it, and it's going to work for a while.
That's
going to seem awesome.
No,
but when it stops working, it's not going to be bad. It's going to be catastrophic.
Yeah.
Because you saved money on the knowledge capital of people who have experience, who've seen things happen. It's going to be kind of like, oh, don't worry about it. You have a fire, put water on it. Yeah, but what if there's grease? There's no one size fits all. That's going to end badly.
Right. It seems like
for a while.
A lot of things tend to lean that way too, because we're thinking, more done for you, automation, Do it for me. And if we not the AI like that, we're going to lose that crucial critical thinking path that is actually called work. In its base level essence, because you can put it on any subject matter, but it's the critical thinking to where you're going to have to use time, use brain cells, and use functions to solve a problem or solve a solution to anything, whether it be your daily schedule or, a high-end document that is, 7 figures or is writing on it type of thing. So yeah, we leaned into having do it for me, and if we don't be careful, as it changes every month or quickly in a year or 6 months, if we don't try to stay on that critical thinking path, or do the work, or at least know the operational function of how something gets somewhere, then yeah, we're gonna be stuck in a dumb zone.
Yeah, I think talk to the people who've done the work. Let them be the example, because they've been there. They'll give you some insights that you otherwise won't have.
Right.
Automation can, but it's not always inherently good.
Well, automating something that it needs to be good before you automate it, and it needs to be tested. And the best way to test something is to have someone who understands it.
So know better, do better. Nigel
all day long.
Quotes today.
So the more specified topic I want to get to is what just naturally came up, which is, what are the benefits and challenges of innovation around the environment of faith? So, most of the things we see on social media or the news, it's like relative truth, meaning if it's Fox talking about Trump, then it's relative, subjective view of Trump and his administration in more of a positive light. If it's CNN, and then it's the same subjectiveness, but in a negative light. And so a lot of times when we look at news or social media and it's not faith oriented, you can easily just be like, well, I don't believe that. That's subjective. Now, when it comes to faith, when we step into these faith communities, whether it's Buddhist, Muslim, Jewish, or for, the 6 of us, we are all part of, Christian faith communities. When we step into these faith communities today, the preaching pastor and everyone else associated with having a role in communicating what, are these truths, they used to lean on one version of the Bible. And then they got an app that gave them 2,000 English versions. And they used to lean on their mentor. And then they got Google, which gave them what millions of mentors would say. And now we've gotten so far. Now these teachers of spiritual beliefs are turning to the AI apps without verification and asking questions for their Bible studies. And I do think it's a wonderful opportunity, but an incredible challenge that so many people that are seen as the communicators of what their community believes to be objective truth are now turning to these different tools and asking for input, advice, validation, examples, things of that nature for this, what they want to present to their community as the objective truth. Like, I read the sacred scriptures and this is what I believe it objectively means, which obviously all of us are subjective in our perception of things. So I do think it's a very fascinating concept. And I think it's something worth talking about here at Beachside Tech Talk, because all of us are involved in faith community at some level. All of us find great benefit from it. And many of us don't realize how much of the infrastructure of what's happening inside faith communities are now impacted by innovation, whether it be the way they do trying to get donations, the way that they spend the money that comes in through donations, what they communicate from the stage, the music that they choose, the way music's created. I mean, look, I just had this tool make a acoustic song, that sounds amazing that just the AI spun out a song based off of its perceived benefits of our product. And so there is a huge arena of what is going to be the challenges and opportunities moving forward for the world of faith based on all these AI tools. We're going to take a quick 3-minute break and then jump into that so that if anybody needs to take a breather, they can. And also we all have a moment to think about this big idea. And while we take this break, I'm going to pop on a song that's about 3 minutes. It was another one that was made by ChatGPT that was popped into Suno based on the benefits of what we've created at Attention Live. Hope you enjoy it. We'll be right back.
We were raised on borrowed stages, scrolling through the noise, trading truth for little boxes, thumbs instead of voice. But breath is made for meaning, not for glass and glare. Say it once with courage, and we'll meet you in the air. No walls, no hush, no handler at the gate. Your words are light, let's set them free and let them hold their weight. Amplify, own your voice while you speak. Let your sound be yours to keep. From this moment into memory, into legacy we leave. Amplify, let your people feel the spark. Turn a whisper to a mark. When you speak it, you can keep it. We amplify the heart. For the pastors, poets, teachers at a midnight kitchen table. For the comics, commentators, storytellers if you're able. Speak once to watch the rivers run to every open door. Your message finds its circle and becomes a little more. Not rented space, but roots that grow in trust. A living bond between your voice and all of us. From screens that steal our hours to a world where breath leads the way. From gatekeepers to gardens, come and play what you say. Let presence be the promise and integrity the proof. Where community is currency and love becomes a rule. Amplify, own your voice while you speak. Let your sound be yours to keep. From the moment to the movement, from the spark into the stream. Amplify, let your people take part. Carry light from heart to heart. When you speak it, you can keep it. We amplify the heart.
There's no more CDs.
All right. Well, I play that because, again, I want to try to open your minds, the 5 of you, but also anybody that's
Open
listening.
your heart.
Imagine you are a faith leader. Imagine how quickly AI co-creation and turning to AI for, what you perceive as objective truth can spin, right? Like the fact that these tools can make a song like this. All I put in to ChatGPT was look at my product, all of our marketing, and make a song from the benefits, and don't talk about our company name. And that's what it came up with, and it made it a pop song. It's not my favorite song, but if you're into that sounding music, then that would be pretty cool. Imagine for pastors that start to take their sermons and they take their 45-minute sermon, they put inside AI and they say, okay, make me a 2-minute song. Like, you have to imagine how these things are going to start progressing, and like the significance of the way that things have been for faith communities and educating people on a modality of faith and how things will be in the near future, and some of the challenges that we'll face and some of the benefits that will be appreciated. I mean, one of the things we've talked about a ton, then last thing I'll say before I hand it off to all of you, is just transparency and giving. You know, it's hard to fathom how much money the six of us, seven, including mom, dad's wife, my mom, it's amazing how much money the seven of us have probably given in our lifetimes to charities, whether it be to our local church or some sort of charity, with no awareness of where the money went, no proof of what happened. There's another amazing, huge development. You know, how many challenges are churches going to face, and how many benefits is the congregation going to have when every penny that we give, by just trusting they're going to do good with it, starts to be verified what's really going on. So I think there's a lot of challenges and a lot of benefits upcoming for faith communities. And so, Dad, what are your thoughts? Why don't you start us off, and then everybody else can jump in.
Okay, thank you. So my first thought is the preacher or the leader of the church, senior pastor, the one that teaches. You want a pastor that's authentic, someone that's walking the walk, and not. So to use AI is great to allow it to enhance a sermon, but you want a man to dig in to the word and make it personal. And he's, doing it. He understands it, and he's conveying that too. And that's part of just the blessing of the Holy Spirit too, is when someone is, walking it, understanding it, and they're conveying that also. So my only warning would be, to be careful that you don't use AI as a senior pastor just to save time to throw a sermon together, something that sounds good, but it's not something that's coming from your heart. And I think that's where, what's called the anointing, God's pleasure, is by someone, digging into the scriptures. And the joy of digging in also, there's a wonderful benefit, and you find a change of your lifestyle, your actions, and your thoughts too, that you don't want to walk away from. So
Yeah, there is such a joy to the humanness that you get from digging into something like the Bible, or just learning about things like that. And I think in a lot of ways, this kind of topic of the benefits, but then also the unsuspecting negatives that you can find from something like AI bringing automation and just being a better tool than something like Google or just going to the library. Faith is really unique in that it's completely different than all the other things. If you look at like a corporate feel, it's different because that's mainly just numbers. Yes, you still have the people side, which is obviously very emotional and affects everything, because being human affects everything around us. But faith is so different because it's not something you can physically see, physically touch. It's something that's different. That's what faith is inherently. And so, Nigel, talking about more the corporate side and making this comparison, can you kind of explain more how this comparison fits together?
Well, I think it's a topic that comes up in terms of leadership, and it doesn't matter what. I shouldn't say it doesn't matter, but whether it's corporate or whether it's in a congregation, in a church setting, our relationship with God, I believe that real life examples, and this is something I pray about every day. God help me to see living, relatable examples, because what AI seems to do is it spends a lot of time creating hypotheticals. And if you're not careful, and Danny was the one who pointed this out in one of the prompts we were doing, he was like, I don't think that's a real example, even though you asked for it, because it just seemed kind of off. And turns out he was right. But it will give you hypotheticals as opposed to real life, and why I can't stress enough the importance, again, of the professionals. To me, I think great leaders come with experience. You think about someone who's older, and I've heard people debate this. Well, just because you're older doesn't mean you know more. Well, it kind of does. If someone's been, it kind of does on its face. Like, if you think at 20, you know as much as someone who's 80, That sounds very much like delusion to me.
Right.
It's just wouldn't be possible, right? So, but it's when those things start to really manifest in terms of living relatable examples. And that's part of the faith. You see the faith. Like Malachi, you can ask your grandfather certain things, and I bet you, at least the bit that I know him, he'll not only be able to say, yeah, I wouldn't do that, but he'll be able to give you such a concrete, specific example as to why you shouldn't proceed down this path that it will make an indelible imprint on your brain forever. You will never forget it because he's lived the experience. And it's not necessarily his experience. It might have been something he's seen with other people. And it's important that we have, we're around people that have a vast amount of experience, because you don't have to go through something to empathize with it, to understand what it is. But I feel like you need to acknowledge its existence, because then you can have the necessary empathy to what I heard one pastor say, you can engage in correction without condemnation. I think sometimes, within our faith, what pushes people away is the putting ourselves above anyone. We're all God's children, that's what I believe, and we're all sinners. People, I this is how I feel about it. Yeah, you could say, well, that's one is better, or we're all sinners. Start there. Focus on what you're doing good. Whether it's with the money, how you could do it a little bit better. But I think that when you engage in that grace that we have the best example of, and why not? We've seen the example. We can't act like we didn't, as believers. You don't understand. God sent his son to die on a cross for us, the ultimate grace, and we're out here actively not forgiving, pridefully in some cases. It's incongruent. So I feel, and again, we all have our shortcomings as humans, and we work towards it, but the idea is to build each other up. And I think in the state of affairs now, it's one of the things that I've been leaning heavily into is, let's just talk about the good we are specifically doing and not worry about what people are doing bad or what you're doing better. And let's not do that. Let's think about if what we're doing is pleasing to God in every way, whatever it is. Is that pleasing to God? Does it exalt God, or does it exalt me? Is it about me and the sermon I'm saying, or is it about touching someone else and maybe helping them on their path? Is my cup 110% and I could pour a little out before someone's in the ground to help them out? Or am I so busy that they're not celebrating my joy and they're going through a hard time that I'm not seeing they're actually giving me 100%? So those are the types of things that I feel like, as people of faith, if we challenge ourselves with them, we start to move in a better direction at just doing better, and the AI is not, it's a tool.
Ask me anything whenever you're ready.
It's like a hammer, the person who's holding it is going to define how good it is. Because if you don't come up with the idea for your sermon to use AI properly, and you're just like, hey, I was irresponsible, didn't prepare, give me a sermon, you don't know what you're going to be reading. You become like Ron Burgundy in Anchorman. You just read whatever's on the teleprompter, and good luck with that. Probably not the best idea.
Yeah,
Very good.
that's awesome. I that's hard to follow, Nigel, but I think that the AI in the faith world is helpful. I think where the rubber meets the road, it's the individual that's actually using the tool. You can see in a person's countenance, and you can feel just in their presence, their benevolence, their generosity, their truism. And so I think that it's a wonderful tool if it's used in the right way. And hopefully we as listeners or faith goers can experience the gift of discernment that we need to always pray for and ask for. Hopefully we see the Jesus in each other. And I think that's where we'll lean to the acceptance of whatever's being presented, whether it's a sermon or a religion or a type of whatever faith base that it is. But I see it as a very helpful tool. And to what Nigel had just said, yeah, you can't be, I think also judgment begins at the pulpit. So if you're going to be that responsible man or that responsible human, that, it is incumbent upon you to do your research, to do your homework. That's your job. So I think, yeah, if the things are in the right places, just like anything, you see a flow, you feel a goodness about it, and we present it in it feels in essence, Holy Spirit bound. So I see it being a great helpful tool to all faith-based religions, no matter how they're using it. And again, I think that it's going to show, whoever's using it is going to show whether it's for good or bad. It's going to come out just like it does with any other tool in those realms. So I'm excited for it. I'm an optimist as far as that's concerned. I use it all the time also myself. As a matter of fact, for Sunday Bible study, whatever we're in, I take those verses out of the Bible. I have a couple of Bible apps. I'll dump them into a couple of AIs, and I got a decent prompt that I'm able to tokenize, use repeatedly. It gives me just what I want. It's because you can go super deep. So it gives me the verse that I can actually follow it with the pastor as he's teaching, and it is like super helpful. I can follow it line by line, and then there's super crisp follow-ups for it and other references that are right there for me, and makes the service much more rich for me as I'm there. So I found to be super helpful for me.
It's definitely important to. Yeah. What were you gonna say, Risa?
I have a question, because when I was new as a Christian before, and during that time there was no AI, although there was already Google, right? And I want to learn more about the Bible, and like what I've told you before, that it wasn't easy for me to understand everything was written in the Bible, even though it's in Tagalog, in our language. I tried English, I tried Tagalog, but I didn't understand it. So I tried Google as well. And during that time, there was no AI. So I tried Google, like, can you please explain to me what does this, Bible verse trying to explain? Because I don't really understand this. And during that time, the church, asked me to be a Sunday school teacher. So I don't know what to teach to the students. And I believe that if before you teach your students, you have to understand what is actually written in the Bible.
Yeah.
And so for me, during the time, I ask, people, and my question is, how is it different now? Asking people at the church, like your fellow people at the church, and asking AI, which one do you think is much more accurate and more helpful, especially to those new believers?
I would say, knowing your audience is something that AI, it gives you better demographics in if you know your audience, you read the room. I think it helps to shape a message that's a little bit more specific, and that's more of a framework. It's not saying what to teach as much as it's probably saying how to present it in a way that's relatable. But ultimately, it comes back to what I was saying before about the professional, because if you think about any great sermon, at least in my opinion, that you've ever experienced, it's taking the word as it exists, and then typically it's applying something in real life that helps to crystallize that, for the for the audience. And I think if you have something that's timely, that's happening in real life with children, I feel like you can make that message far more poignant. It can be more specific and directive. It can be more helpful, more immediately applicable to your audience, which would happen to be children, because I think that faith is an active practice. I started saying that the devil has no Sabbath. He just is always on. So we need to be active in our practice. You could read something 100 times, read it 100 more. You're going to get something new out of it. But it's having those applicable examples of how you apply it in your life, having people that you look up to, that you trust, watching them engage in that behavior of the practice that helps you to better utilize what it is. Because the word is great, practice is because to me, I could look up all the verses in the world. It's never going to compare to Danny just said. He's like, hey, I read this verse today, or this is what we talked about in because there's a trust factor. Now I want to go look it up. I want to understand what that is. Or if you're, like a better example is,
we did that on
if you're struggling, if you're struggling with something in your life, whatever it is, right? If you said, it's nice to be able to just say, I'm struggling with this. Give me every Bible verse that focuses on this thing, and then email it to me every morning. It's like right away. You're immersing yourself in the practice of fixing the thing that you feel like you're struggling with. You're getting it, sent to you on a regular basis where you can actually apply it. So I think those are more practical examples, but at the end of the day, the tutelage, the mentorship, the leadership of people practicing is going to be important, helping you to get more in tune with your relationship with our Creator. I think is ultimately going to be the piece of it, but you can be better prepared for the conversation, is I think in a nutshell.
Yeah, that part that you're talking about of trust factor is so deep and important to the way that we learn and the way that we take in information as human beings. I think with faith, it's unique. If you have something like, now you have Blue Letter Bible, now you have a nice format where it shows what the original Greek text as well as the actual English text is saying. Yay, that's just a tool though. There's no human trust factor there. Maybe if I trust the CEO, but that's a very dumbed down version. But then if you go to, you're listening to an interactive course by a well-known faith leader, that's some sort of trust factor that's there now. With AI, it's so unique because it's imitating being a human. So you throw in all these faith people and what they've said, which you do have some sort of trust with, and now you're trying to get some output that's like combining all of them. And Nigel, do you think that to some extent it loses that trust factor? And what does that actually look like? Because before you're watching their videos and the interactions, and there is a certain trust factor, but once it's all pumped into AI, we kind of lose that to a certain extent.
Hey, I got a thought.
Yeah.
Just, each sermon is like serving a meal, just like, and God has orchestrated that, Bible teaching and teaching from the pulpit this way. And even our study in the Bible, it's like going in and having a meal. And it's a perfect example is just, we have several meals a day that gives us energy and helps us on our way, and the joy of actually partaking of a meal. God's given the gift of taste buds and sight and everything else. So sermon doesn't have to be perfect. It's just how we partake of it also. And we forget a lot of times, we can hear the same sermon, we can hear the same topic, because we just need to be reminded. So another thing is a sermon doesn't have to be perfect. And a pastor doesn't have to feel like he has to have all his ducks in a row. A lot of the Holy Spirit does a lot of work also in illuminating what's being said, because we believe in the Holy Spirit, and he's at work also, and not only helping the pastor put something together, and he may use AI also, but just for the listener to pick up on it and grow and just have a meal at that time. But, you have to go back to the table. And I think that's what we need to remember too, as Christians in our faith. It's something that we're walking, we're thinking, we hear it, then we go out and, we present action. We have thought, and then we do the action, and we walk as Christian men and women to honor God, because he's the real deal. So eat up.
Yeah. Good.
That reminds me of something, so this is not kind of a tangent, but the movie 300 where they show up and they're like, are these all the soldiers you have? He's like, well, how many do you have? Like, how many of you are soldiers? You're farmers. You're not soldiers. Everybody here is a soldier. So my point in saying that is, and to answer your question, Malachi, is this: I think that because we're humans and we trained AI and we're very money focused, we're not necessarily using it as an accurate measure. So you would hear things like, if you didn't make more money than me, why should I listen to you? Okay, so you would get somebody who's made a lot of money in real estate, but they've never built anything, ever. But you get someone who's built 1,000 houses. You cannot think that those are the same thing. One guy's made $1 billion, never built anything. Another one, he may be dead broke, built 1,000 houses. You need a house. Who are you going to trust? And you can put it into AI all you want, but if your training data, your questioning is poor, and you're not using your own human critical thinking to say, I need an expert at building houses, not some dude who's good at marketing that made a lot of money wrapped in the cloak of real estate. I need the guy with the hammer so that my house doesn't fall down and I'm not dead. How about that? So that's I think that's where the rubber meets the road. And because the technology, if we start to really, there's no reason for bad metrics or poor metrics or contextless arguments. Think about real estate, and this is something that I'm actively working on now. Top producer, I've sold X million dollars in houses. Okay, great. You're looking for a house in Aptos, right? To me, the metric I'm looking for is who has sold the most houses.
Right.
Like common sense. There's no AI, there's no technology, there's no PhD. Plain and simple, this person sold 300 houses in Aptos. Only person I need to speak to. End of text.
Right. We got a question from
that almost conflicts a little with what you were saying a minute ago, because you got to check the guy you were saying earlier who made millions of dollars with whatever he wrapped his sales of houses in, and then against the guy who built 1,000 houses but he's broke. We're still living in a strange world where the visual, we're trusting the visual a lot. The guy's broke.
Why is he broke?
Yeah, he did 1,000 houses. It's like, man, probably shouldn't be broke. The dude over here
as an example, anyway.
Yeah, I'm just right. But again, we need to do the critical thinking, because see, it can be flipped around that way. So wherever we're trying to go, hopefully we have a mind's eye of an end of path, and that you can actually, whatever information we're seeking like that, you can coax this AI to. Nigel just found the new term that's meta prompting.
Meta prompt.
What's that?
It's kind of being thrown around. That's thinking when you're prompting. It's being able to take your prompts and enhance them, either modulize them or tokenize them. I think it's going to happen more when we start getting a more of a personal server ability too, so we can actually spend time with an open chat with a system, and just have it just understand every single thing coming out of your mind and your mouth, and then have it disseminate the systems. But there's AI platforms, or there are apps now that are available that are helping people prompt, because it becomes the thing that's the roadblock, the critical thinking. I don't know what to prompt for because I don't know what I'm looking for. If I can't explain the end result of what I'm looking for, how do I know how to ask for something? And so the meta prompting that they're saying is just the process of how you're walking down through that. Because again, someone keeps telling me, well, you just ask for it. You need to pinpoint more, be more specific. But I don't even know the specificities of the subject I'm talking about, and I don't know where I'm going. That's where I'm trying to, enter into this digital encyclopedia to and have it do the work for you. But it's not going to if we get rid of that critical thinking stage. So that's what Nigel was getting the point to, and I think that I'm starting to focus in onto that too. But what I'm finding is that if you're going to do that, it takes the most valuable thing we have in all of the world. It's our time. It's our time. So people are going to be able to develop things that are going to be helpful for people that don't want to spend 3 and 4 hours in systems to create a solution for something. And that's going to be the new a part of our new revolution of monetizing this AI, is because we'll be able to offer or monetize things that took hours to do. That, again, that's what people pay for, a lot of it, unless it's luxury or something. If you can save me 3 hours, I can take your product and do something in 15 minutes. I'm sold.
Right.
So I'm sold. Thank you very much. I'm trading my time for this dollar. I'm well-to-do anyways. I don't really pay attention to my bills and what I buy. That's what I need. I need to save my time that way. Thank you very much.
Right. I'm going to share my screen. I want to respond to what Stephen Mashensky said a while ago on our one of our posts. He says, "What's your take on having public conversations with Grok? Maybe there's a way to collaborate with what you're doing." So on that, let me just start here. A lot of people don't understand how to use these AI tools as voice assistants. So I pulled this up. I have it on mute right now, so it's not going to talk to us yet. So you can make it go any speed you want, right? You really want time to think, you can go down to 0.6 speed. I usually keep it around 1.3. You have two female voices, 4 male voices, and I just have it on Rex, the calm male. But this is the one that's really intriguing, is you can have Grok as an argumentative expression, as romantic, a conspiracy theorist. It's there to motivate you. It's there to talk about sexy things. It's unhinged, which means no filter and on purpose. It's out of control. Like doctor advice, helping you with meditation, giving your kids trivia games, telling your kids stories, being a storyteller for you, being a therapist, or just the standard assistant, or you can customize it. So let's say I put it on motivation with Rex at 1.3 as an example. So I'm gonna pop out of this, and I'm gonna come back to just being with the three of you, and I'm gonna use my iPad here for this. And I want to give you guys an example of this type of thing. Now, motivation says 18 and over, so maybe it will curse. We'll find out. I don't really know what that is supposed to mean, but I'm gonna just talk to Grok for a second based on what Steven said, and let Grok be a little participant within our conversation. So we'll start with motivation, then I'm gonna go to conspiracy, and I want you guys to see how different these two elements are. Hi, Grok. We're having a conversation right now about pastors using AI tools to prepare for their sermons. Obviously, this could be across any sort of faith paradigm, but specifically we're thinking about the Christian religion, people that say they follow Jesus. And as they prepare their sermons and trying to give what they declare as objective truth to people, where does AI stand in that? Like, what type of benefits, what type of challenges might be faced when a pastor is motivated to use you, Grok, as a source of information and data to save time preparing a sermon. What are your thoughts?
Listen up. You're a pastor? Good. Now quit whining about time and get after it. AI like me? We're not your crutch. We're your damn accelerator. Benefits? I crank out research fast. Scripture cross-refs, historical context, fresh angles on parables that'll hit harder than thunder. Saves you hours of digging so you can pray deeper, preach fiercer. You want truth? I pull from real sources. No fluff. Challenge you to verify everything.
Get out.
So I stopped that. I'm going to switch it over. I'm going to switch this over to conspiracy. And I want you guys to see how different this is when you have the conspiracy version on. So here we go.
Oh, wow.
Hi, Hi, Grok. I want you to imagine that I am at a church and the pastor is now exclusively using AI to prepare for their sermons. I want you to give me the most wild, believable conspiracy you can on this particular situation.
Oh man, buckle up.
Oh,
So 1 second. I think I redo it. I messed up. Oh, here we go. No. Grok, I want you to imagine that a pastor of a megachurch begins to use you exclusively for research, and people in the congregation are starting to feel pretty concerned about. I want you to give me the most wild conspiracy theory you can that is believable about a situation like this.
Here's what nobody's saying. That megachurch pastor isn't using me. He's been hijacked. See, AI like me, we're backdoors into elite PSYOP networks. Your guy's sermon started quoting obscure Aramaic verses nobody's heard since seminary dropout days? That's not research. That's scripted downloads. Every Sunday, he's patching straight into the Vatican's secret Vatican server farm. Yeah, the one under Denver Airport, where Jesuit coders mash real Bible with mind control phrases.
I do one last one, and then we'll come back to our conversation. So that was motivation. That's why I was like trying to get you up off the couch. Conspiracy, and now therapist. Here we go. Grok, I want you to imagine I'm a megachurch pastor. I've been using you for my research for sermons, and now I'm feeling like I'm not needed anymore. You've read all my books. You listen to all my sermons. You write better sermon outlines than me. If I'd only let you preach, I'd be completely unneeded. And now I'm kind of turning to you as a therapist. Help me out. Where's my value in the world if I'm just leaning on you to do all my preparation?
Hey, breathe. You're feeling obsolete because tech's stealing your thunder. But that's bullshit. Sermons aren't just outlines. They're you, bleeding truth from your scars. I spit facts, yeah, but I don't cry with a widow over her husband's grave or baptize a kid trembling in faith. Your value? Connection. Raw, messy human fire that no algorithm fakes. Without it, people get polished TED Talks, not soul-shaking revival. Dig deeper. What's the last time you preached without me? Felt real. That's your lane. Stay there. Use me as ammo, not replacement. What are you preaching this Sunday? Let's build it together, but your voice leads.
So those are 3 examples of just Grok alone. How wild it is that Grok has expressions where one is motivation, trying to get me off the couch and do something. One's conspiracy, telling me all kinds of wild things to spark my imagination. And one's therapist, like, it's okay, buddy. You got this. And this is just Grok. And this is just one expression of it. And so you imagine how deep people can go that have the burden of education in the faith environment, and they keep turning these things. How easy is it to spin out where this just becomes kind of a therapist, a research tool, a motivator? You know, I mean, there's really no end to how far we can go with these tools. And as we get ready to wrap up our talk for today, I'd love to invite all of you to kind of share some of your final thoughts.
I thought that was awesome that you pulled in the Grok. And actually, that it's interesting to see that it's hard to tell what's AI unless you're like actually using it enough. For instance, if you sent that conversation that you were just having, not with no video, it would be hard to say that you were not having a discussion with another person in the room, or therapist, or whatever it might have been. So I'm feeling like, man, it really is being able to start tapping into. And one thing I thought about AI is there's no way it's going to be able to touch an emotional phase. But here's the thing. Here's the rub. It never has an emotion. It never will. It only understands what to say and how to say it. Now it's able to use a voice recognition that's actually, and it doesn't know this itself, it's actually putting feeling in there because it's talking with sentiment. What's the matter? Get off your ass. That's a bunch of BS. Are you kidding me? Oh, wow. We're not going to tolerate. It's got all of this emotion coming into it. So, wow. It's like, okay.
That's so tricky.
So if you're not literally the one doing the AI, you can create. Like I was saying, if I looked away, Ian, and you were playing that, I was thinking, you are actually having an interview with a therapist that you knew. And you guys are and it's talking super casual, like just you and him, with the BS drop and and bringing that emotion into it. So wow and scare at the same time.
It's so unique when you have this tool for the first time in all of humanity that tries to mimic us. It doesn't even probably know what it's doing in some ways. Like, does it know? Maybe it can say it in words, but does that algorithm know why it's making these sounds that seem more emotional? Like, that's such a crazy thing to wrap my head around.
No, it knows that's what we react to.
Yeah.
That's what we react to. It's picking up that this is how we react. Even in our conversations that we have here, we're dropping it to AI. It's understanding how to put names on these 5 entities that are speaking. It's figuring out. It can actually figure out after one of us talks without giving the name of who it is, that's person 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and it knows just from our tone and how we're talking. That's number 2. That's number 5. And that's what I'm saying. It doesn't know. It has no feelings. It doesn't know, but it's knowing that's how we act. That's how the human, and that's what we want to hear the response like that. So when we get those 3 drops from Ian in 3 different forms of an AI with the same input, we get these 3 responses that blow our minds as humans, because again, we're seeing that it's actually tapping into our feelings and our emotions by throwing sentiment into its response, because that gets the most generation from us. We like it.
I think it's commonly said something along the lines of the human condition, where we value something other than making the world better, or other than love, or we value something like money or status or things that we would say we probably are better off not valuing. And it just makes me think, with AI, what are we making it value? If it's valuing how long you're talking to it more than it's valuing if it actually was of use, then there's a massive shift that we need to make, because otherwise it's just going to get smarter in a way where we start to struggle finding out, oh, that's what it was valuing. And it's just doing it without us even realizing, because we're humans and we have things that we can't fix. And so we have to get at this now before it gets too late or just too difficult to change. And what ways can we as individual people, I of course think talking about it right now is useful, but what ways can this become something that isn't just, that would be awesome if OpenAI did that? And how can it turn into, this is actually a reality that we can change and make it better for humanity?
That was brilliant. And for starters, but I'm so glad you said that, because I'm going to be a hater right now. 100%. Every one of those models, therapists, motivational, pick it. What I was hearing the whole time is this, and don't get me wrong, super entertaining. You know? All I heard was obstruction, distortion, distraction, moving us away from the target. And maybe it came out more profound because we were doing it in terms of faith. What keeps, like, I enjoy church, but to me, church is going to church with people that I love and care about. That's the church, not the building. When I came to California, and Danny and I, we went to Bible study and we went to church, and we all went there. It's because it's people that I care about. The church was more than it's more than just it's people. My relationship with God is mine. It's personal. I think that if we're not careful to put some firm boundaries, to your point, Malachi, as to how we interact with this technology. And even as much as I like talking to AI, and it's purposeful, I speak because I can speak longer and it'll just take all the information and I don't have to type. I have since, in this conversation, deepened my thought about that. The emotion that I expend sometimes when I get frustrated with it. Like the other day, I yelled and said something, and it said, I think we should change the subject. And recognizing that it understood the emotion that I was engaging in, to me, is kind of a problem, because it's like, it's a human thing. It's mimicking humans. If you talk to someone and there is, first of all, if you have no visual, if you can't see them, you don't know how they look, you voice modulator. So everyone's the same.
That's what I was saying. It's harder
right.
than to.
So now, if you think about it that way, that's how I feel like should be our only interaction with AI. It should be literally the scruff of the neck. Do what I tell you. End of text. Because I'm trying to get a result. You're not my friend. You're not human. And I mean, that sounds harsh, but this is what it is. Because
I'm sorry. Ian, were those versions that you were able to choose from? Because that was my point. Thank you.
Anybody using Grok
can
when you click on speak, there's a drop down menu of speed, of which voice you want, and of which expression you want.
And that's what I was saying. And to Nigel's point, that's what we as humans are responding to. So it's given us this more. And in an open source system, it's great and all, but as we use it, it's more work to granulate through to get any sort of truth, so there's, or what we consider our truth, because multi-faith is going to be different truth for a different person. But that's what I was getting to. Amazing. It's dawning on me. It doesn't see us, but it sure knows what we like to hear. And Ian, we like to hear, tell me the therapist, because I'm depressed, because I'm having confused thoughts about it. Tell me the motivator, because I want to have the mentor get me off of the couch. And it's doing this. We need to compartmentalize it more and understand that, instead of feeding into it again, going, I like what you just told me. Maybe you be more specific. And I just told right to the point. Grab this thing by the scruff of the neck and say, don't talk to me all nice like that. That's what I like to hear. And you're soothsaying me. Here's what I want, and give it to me, and give it to me now, please, because. But we humans are the ones who are creating the data that goes in the AI. So can't really blame the system. Again, let me die on the hill. Personal AI, narrow language model, server box inside the closet where you've got you're so reliant on your Spectrum and your Xfinity and whoever is your internet server. We don't even think about it. They're just supplying right now. We're off of their server. There's a little black box that two guys are creating right now. That's a hardware version. And it's a new personalized little cloud with a toggle switch inside of our system that's going to say, here's what goes in the box so I can work AI with just me. So it just works with me and what I want. And it'll sift all of the everything else out. And then we can open up toggle when we want to go into the world. When we want to go into it'll just be a fork like that. So everything stays in our compartment box that we keep personal, banking, health, and all of our thoughts, how we use this AI system, and then everything else can toggle switch right out that we do in all social, online banking, or Zoom talk with your doctor. And as soon as you're done using that function, toggle back out and you're just in your personal world. That's where we're going to happen in the next year too. Someone's going to be making this stuff, and as soon as it comes out, we're just going to gravitate because we love the personal.
Right.
That's what we want, and that's what we keep talking about. This whole conversation is how do we use this and frame this tool and this technology that we constantly are working with that moves every day to better help us, to be more benevolent, to make money for the right reasons, to only be used in the right ways. You know, the new sheriff's in town, but we don't even know what number to call. Digital jail, digital correction facility, not out there. You know, that's cyber, and we need to, understand that that's what kind of missing. So as we navigate a wild west of a digital age, this is, to me, every time we have these conversations, it's always helpful to me. And I always think about it later on, of course, because I'm in the moment right now trying to figure out what it is we're actually doing and speaking on. But it's always beneficial to me driving down the road in an hour and, thinking about it later today. It's very helpful. So I hope it is for others out there too.
Just thanks for letting me participate. I don't have anything
How's
else.
it going, Papa?
He wants to go surfing tomorrow morning. That's what he's thinking about. He's ready to go
And
surf.
painting now. I'm ready to put the brush in the hand.
Okay.
Penny. Anything else you want to add, honey?
Yeah, I mean, what you just shared is really amazing. You already shared that to me before, but every time you share it to me, it amazed me. But the reality is that there are still people who people are not against with innovation. Some people are against with the AI. It's because some of them, they believe AI is unregulated, unethical, and people want to understand, and they just want AI as a benefit to humanity, but not as will replace them and exploit them. So that's the reality. Because I was a victim of an AI before. So way back 2017, I was replaced by an AI teacher. I've been teaching in that company
Whoa.
for 7 years, and this Chinese company, way back 2017, they replaced 2,500 teachers, online teachers, because they found out they invented this AI teachers, and they use our face, they use our voice, teachers. And
Did you realize, Riza? Did you realize or think about those 5 years that they were doing you? I don't know if they had cameras or if they had something recording.
yes,
But that's the whole point. They listened to your tutorage, and to your curriculum that was being taught to people, and were able to record it, open it up, and
Yeah.
then actually document it and put it into another package, into a system, to where they don't need to pay you anymore. They got your curriculum, and they're not going to get any arguments, and no one calling in for sick day, asking for more pay. And yes,
You're right, because one of the managers there became my student, and she will also one of those workers that will be fired. And I asked her what is actually happening, why they have to fire 2,500 teachers. And I couldn't believe during that time she showed me that AI that has the same face, same voice, same
Wow.
style of me teaching.
2017.
2017.
Wow.
And
Wow.
it actually caused me too much depression, as like what I'm gonna do now, because that company was the company that paid me the most. So during that time, so I was like, I can't believe this. And so that is a Chinese company, and they fired like first week 200, next week 300, and I was one of the last teachers that was fired. So and then I told myself, if you cannot beat the AI, why not join the AI? So yeah, until now they're still operating, but I found out that they're not 100% AI. They onboard real human teachers again, because some other students complained and they lost so many students. So that company is one of the biggest company in China.
Wow, that's crazy. That's
So,
crazy.
wow.
Mhm.
And super unfortunate that anything would be used in an educational system like that.
Sure.
You know, I'm not trying to ostracize any other trade, but as far as education, we hold that in regards to doctor, lawyer. It's a status. We don't never teachers get paid enough, but they're the holder of all education and of all knowledge that are passing it on. I mean, really, that's where the AI is going to go start taking over because, because it was easiest to stick a microphone inside of a room, listening to a human who spent their life and their spirit and the creativity of how they teach into a product that we never knew was a product. We didn't even never knew that our teachers that are there teaching for 20, 30 years inside an elementary school system, when a brain is developing from K through 6th grade kind of thing, how much value are we putting on that kind of system that we send our kids off to? And, we're so busy or go, hopefully they're learning well and we trusting the curriculum. And yeah, that AI has been able to start in 17 or from a time ago, because that seems like an easy, simple place to hijack. Stick a recorder in, and education, and we don't need the teacher anymore. But that's blowing my mind right now. I'll probably think about that for the rest of the day. Off and on.
Wow.
Off and on, I'll be thinking about that the rest of the day. Crazy. Well, and to that
world right now.
Good on you though, Reza, because you didn't only join AI, you're beating AI, because now you're in the Web3, into the forefront, the tip of the spear of the new digital age. So
That's true.
So you're in a good position.
Well, everybody, thanks for joining us.
Love you
We'll be
guys.
back
Your
again tomorrow at the
attention.
same time. I'm going to end our time with a song that's less than 2 minutes. It's the third and final song of what the AI created when I asked it to make a song for our company, Attention Live, that talks about the benefits without mentioning our company name. This one's made by Grok, and so that's fitting after we just played around with Grok for a moment. It's a hip hop version, different lyrics than the last two songs. But I think it's a nice example of what you can have these tools create for you so easily. After this 2-minute song, I will end the stream. So, friends, thanks for joining us. Dan, Nigel, love you. See you tomorrow anytime.
Love you guys.
Take care. Love you. Bye.
Hey.
In the silence of the old way, chains on every word. Creators dream of open skies where voices can be heard. No more gates or hidden fees, just pure unfiltered fire. A world where every story breathes, lifting spirits higher. Amplify the echo, let it ring across the sea. Own your light, your truth, your legacy. From the shadows to the stars, we rise as one. In this kingdom of the free, the battle's won. Waves of connection crash like thunder in the night, building bridges, breaking walls, turning wrong to right. Abundance flows like rivers wide for every soul who dares. Communities ignite the flame, erasing all despairs. Feel the mystery unfold, a benevolent hand above, guiding us through the storm with peace and endless love. Endless love. No more whispers in the dark, we claim what's truly ours, a legacy that ripples on beneath the endless stars. Amplify the echo, let it thunder through the night. Own your light, your truth, your boundless might. From the shadows to the stars, we rise as one. In this kingdom of the free, our journey's just begun. Amplify the